Today I am going to present to you the most diabolical talent builds that I have ever created. These are so evil that Cortex said, like, bro, please don't make this video. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Just keep it to yourself. So stick around for talent builds and Rise of Kingdoms that are just evil. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and it's no secret that Kingdom 75 has been cheeseburgering like crazy. Now, cheeseburgering, for those of you who don't know, is a term that I invented referring to when you pop out of a city, try to do a bunch of damage, and then pop back in your city before they can do anything about it, and frequently you have so much counterattack damage that you trade positive. This is using marches like Charles Martel, Pakal, Harald, Alexander the Great. A lot of instant proc damage, a lot of counterattack damage. And I spent much of my KVK doing my cheeseburgering with Pakal Harald, which started a trend of people going all in on the Pakal Harald cheeseburger combo. But I will make the claim that although I was frequently doing that with my rally gear equipped, ready to go to launch a rally at any moment in time, hitting from outside of my own city, so I was always back in my city within an instant anyways, I think most people should probably use the combo the other way around. Harald Primary, Pakal Secondary. And there are talents that are absolutely disgusting for an all-in cheeseburger play. Plus, we made a bunch of optimizations for infantry in general. So if you are an infantry player, this may be a little bit eye-opening for some talents that you really should consider, even if we're not talking about the Pakal Harald combo. And I'll break down a little bit of that as well, about Guan Primary and other commanders that have the conquering tree and the skill and infantry tree as well to go with it. But let's start by getting a look at some of these Harald talent builds so I can prove to you why a Harald Primary is the way to go. And if we get a look at Harald himself, the Stamford Bridge skill has a 20% chance to use your active skill. This counts as an active skill use, and this is relevant for the talents. Here's why. This is my new and improved Harald open field build. Don't worry, it gets way more dastardly than this, trust me. I've gone in and made a bunch of optimizations here. I started with a build that was all in on infantry, getting elite soldiers. I didn't have clarity, and I realized, like, hold on, let's really optimize this Harald Primary build, okay? So what have I gotten here? I've picked up Rejuvenate and Clarity, which makes it so that when I use an active skill, including Stamford Bridge, I regenerate Rage, and I make it so that for the next 6 seconds, I do 6% more skill damage. That is active skills, that is passive skills, it is all skill damage. In addition, instead of going for elite soldiers, which, hey, I mean, 1.5% of stats for every point you put into it is really good. I mean, 2% of health is just better per point, isn't it? Isn't it? And so I realized by just shredding Snare of Thorns, which is a slow on an enemy, I'm going to talk about why that's important, and shredding elite soldiers, I could instead just put my points into Strong of Body, I could put my points into Buckler Shield, and that was a better way to go. And I am very, very, very happy with this build. I feel like it is very performant. And I will, however, call your attention to the fact that Snare of Thorns is really good. Why is this good? It is a passive ability that has a chance to slow the target. Now, think about the scenarios where you get in trouble in an open field fight. It is when you are chasing something that runs away from you when you were hitting it, and now you're deep behind the enemy line. Well, if you slow them, it gives you more time to realize, hey, wait a minute, they're running away. I need to get back to safety here and turn back around. Or to process, like, yes, I want to chase them. So slows are actually really, really good. I happen to have a few slows other places, so I'm okay abandoning it on Harald specifically to get the benefit of Clarity. That felt like a strong choice. I'm also just going to point out that 6% march speed for 3 points over here, or 6% march speed for 2 points over here. Let's freaking go, Pog. So the next build I want to show you is what I call the almost elite build. And instead of getting Buckler Shield, if you felt like you really wanted the slow, you only put 2 points into elite soldiers. Isn't that weird? I feel like this is still a good Harald build, weirdly enough. I would rather have Buckler Shield, which obviously I was just showing you. 9% counterattack damage taken ruction seems really, really good. But you're better off having the points in Strong of Body than you are having them in Elite Soldiers, because health is just better, especially for a commander like Harald, than having the points spread, and less of them, by the way, across attack and defense and health. Remember, Elite Soldiers is giving you 0.5% of each per point that you put into it, whereas Elite or Strong of Body is giving you 2% health per point that you put into it. It's more stats, it's better stats. This is a weird build, the almost elite build. I really like it. And I actually think for other commanders, it would be worth considering doing something similar. Although when we talk about Guan in just a bit, I'm going to share with you why I haven't yet switched to this style of an almost elite build. The terrifying build, however, that had Cortex literally screaming, begging that I not share this with the Rise of Kingdoms community, is the ultimate cheeseburger. If you want to absolutely, terrorize your enemies, this is the Harald build you're looking for. It's disgusting. What does this build do? It's absolutely savage. What you're aiming to do with the ultimate cheeseburger build is pop out of your city, do not walk far at all, do not walk barely a step or two, do as much damage as you can and pop back in. This is the ultimate build for maximum cheeseburgering carnage. Why is that? First of all, Buckler Shield reduces the counterattack damage you're taking by 9%, which is good. But we've also gone and taken Moment of Triumph. When you are at 90% strength or more, you increase all your damage by 9%. Because you're just popping out of your city and then popping back in when conditions become unfavorable, you're not going to really get much more low than 90% anyways, or you should be considering how you're playing your cheeseburgers, right? You're really out there to just cause havoc briefly and then disappear. In addition, we've made sure to still pick up Double-Headed Axe, increasing your normal attack damage, which also improves your counterattack. We've got the extra rage. We've also got the extra damage to cavalry. And I kept a little bit of march speed here because I felt like you still need a little bit of ability to move around. But you'll notice we've gone all the way in on the skill tree, Feral Nature. For cheeseburgering, Feral Nature is the actual dream. Why is that? You want to activate your skill cycle faster than the enemies. In fact, you also want to activate your skill cycle with Harald just when they start to swarm you, because then you do a bunch of AoE. So it's very important you have every way you can get to get a little bit of rage, even if sometimes you overrage, so that once you start to get swarmed, you do big AoE, big damage, is really savage. I even went so far as to say, you get naked rage, baby. Increase your skill damage out and increase your skill damage in. Just freaking all in on an expertly played, absolutely savage, absolutely disgusting cheeseburger march. Absolutely freaking disgusting. This is the way. This is the way that you do it. And for those of you wondering, but why Harald Primary? It's because of these talents, and I want to show you in a report exactly how that works very briefly. I know not everybody loves reports. I'll be brief. This is a report against a barbarian, and I wanted to just in a very controlled way be able to showcase what the heck is happening. You can see Stamford Bridge activated on turn 6. That little, I don't know what to call this, an explosion icon is when you cast an active skill. But this is not because I had a full rage bar. No, it's because I got Stamford Bridge to proc, which you can see right over here. Harald became immune to defense reduction effects due to the resistance effect caused by Harald Sigurdsson's Stamford Bridge. Now, in addition, Stamford Bridge activated anything else that would activate with an active skill, including Pakal's freaking expertise ability. This is why the two of them are absolutely insane. Pakal Harald are a strong combo together. And if you're gonna run the Pakal, you almost like gotta pair him with the Harald, even in the open field, for this reason alone almost, because having Stamford Bridge trigger the expertise, even though it can only trigger once every 5 seconds, is still freaking amazing. Because you start to do more counterattack damage and you take less damage from all sources. And it's just absolutely fantastic. Love that. So Mayan Strength triggers. Clarity. I told you the talent would trigger. Here's the proof that it triggers. It does. Varangian Guard is one of the other skills on Harald Sigurdsson, boosting his attack, making his defense weaker. And then there's the Rejuvenate, generating 60 rage. I mean, that's amazing. That is a lot of rage, just for free. For free, to use your active skill, hopefully, a little bit sooner, okay? So I really like the Harald Primary when paired with Pakal specifically, I think that for open fielding, it's a better play, even though I still really enjoy Pakal and Harald together for a rally with the Pakal Primary. And that is purely because of the desperate elegy talent all the way at the top of the defense tree that makes it so when you're below 30%, you start generating 25 rage a second, which is really, I mean, that's a lot of rage that adds up over time. Now, Pakal Harald, we actually just took down a fort that was building, even though they were using the counter comp here. And it was a building fort, to their credit. They still went even against the Pakal Harald, but the counterattack damage is just so savage that even if you swarm it accidentally, your hospital bill is going to be quite steep. And there is a non-zero chance that if you're not careful, your hospital will also overflow, which can be very, very savage. Now, some players can afford that. Other players are not in a position to be able to afford that. So Pakal Harald together for a rally, in my opinion, with the Pakal Primary, makes a lot of sense. I think that's really quite strong, purely for the Desperate Elegy, absolutely insane rage generation. Also, the healing that you get gives that rally a lot of sustain that is quite valuable, especially if you think the enemy is going to swarm you or it's a counter rally. I actually think there's a lot of reasons why the Pakal Primary is probably still the way to run that. But for the field, I really like Harald Primary. Now, we've talked about all these things relating to Harald, but you'll notice that Guan Yu has the exact same talent trees, which there are some implications for talents you can use on Guan Yu. This is what I would consider to be a very classic open field build for the infantry skill tree combo. I just really like this breakdown of talents. Now, you could make an argument here for Guan Yu that maybe you should have clarity, Chisgule, that you should ditch fleet of foot, ditch the infantry health, and ditch strong of body, or move to kind of an elite build like we were just talking about. This would be what that would look like. I call it, I don't know, strong clarity is the name I made for this. So I am skipping a lot of points. Specifically, I'm losing 4.5% stats over here, another 2% of stats over there. So I'm losing 6.5% of stats. And I'm losing 6% march speed. But I gain back the march speed, and ultimately I gain back 1.5 points of stats. So I'm losing 5% of stat points in exchange for 6% skill damage after I use an active skill. I don't know, maybe this build is better? Do we like this build better? This would be the implication of everything we were talking about with Harald, where you shred some of these points from elite soldiers. And quite frankly, if you wanted, you could go and do a build just like we had on Harald, where you ditch elite soldiers, you ditch the snare, you lose the points in attack over here, and you go all the way to get Buckler Shield. I actually think that would be very reasonable, and that would be a very strong build. But this is one of the only slows I have across, at least passive slows that I have across any of my commanders. And although I have Saladin to do a slow, I still feel like for me, for my murder ball, having Snare of Thorns is still a good pickup. I want to have that in the arsenal. Controlling the enemy's position is important. For now, I'm sticking with this build, but I will be very eager for your thoughts down below in the comments as to whether or not the strong clarity build, as I've called it here, would actually be the superior open field Guan Yu build. Now, of course, we're not talking about rallying, because rallying with Guan Yu is a madman's task. Do not do that. I do think that having the boosted skill damage is maybe better with commanders that have more ways to do skill damage. So, for example, Leonidas does AoE damage. AoE skill damage is pretty good. You've got CJ, who not only does single target damage, but he also does AoE skill damage, right? Like, I think with commanders that do more damage, and I don't know if you're pairing Guan Yu and Harald together, you savage, but if you are, then, I mean, yes, get clarity. In that instance, clarity makes a lot of sense because Harald is going to trigger it. And if you're using that combo, which I don't know that I'd recommend, I mean, you could, it's a lot of damage, but if you are using that combo, I would definitely go and I would pick up clarity. That definitely seems worth it. However, I will be eager for your thoughts down below in the comments. Is this Harald Sigurdsson build The ultimate cheeseburger build, the most diabolical thing I think we've ever created in this channel? I think the answer just might be yes, but let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. We've got our Kingsland battling tonight. I possibly will stream that, although I feel like streaming that might also be very revealing. I don't know. I've been hesitant to stream as much as I normally would in this KVK because of the possibility of stream sniping, but I don't know. Maybe with a delay, it's fine. Let me know your thoughts, and until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies.